What is up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, back at you to try to get this Shop Talk Live in for today. So, like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. And if you can do me a solid, put a one in the chat if you guys can hear me clearly. Because I don't have my headphones on and I didn't bring in the microphone. It's raining out here and the stuff is in my car and I didn't bring it inside. So, kind of tired. So, I'm trying to see if I need to go get it or not. Herb gave me a one. SNL gave me a one. UFO gave me a one. What's good, UFO? What's good, Beasley? Okay, I got some ones across the board. So, I'm going to run with it. So, apologies for earlier not being able to finish the stream. I got calls. In California right now, we're having a tropical storm up here. And where I work, we had winds of upwards of 70 miles an hour. So we had a lot of trees uprooted, a lot of large tree branches blown down onto houses and residences and in streets. And from rain, we had power outages, blown breakers, and everything else. So it took a while to get all of that stuff dealt with. And it is still being dealt with right now. There are crews out still cutting up trees and getting them out of the way and off of houses. So it has been a busy, windy, wet day for me, which makes it kind of ironic in the sense that I want to talk about Carl Weathers, and the weather was playing a factor in that, which is just a little bit of irony, which is why I say that I don't believe in coincidences at all. But roaming around during the day and into the night, in the cold, in the wet, gave me more time to actually think on what I exactly wanted to say about Carl Weathers. And it's not that I didn't have an idea what I wanted to say. I told you guys before, when I do these streams on Sundays, I've probably thought about this stuff all week. That's why I can sit here and do it with no notes. It's not because it's just a random act of anything. I mean, what comes out on the stream is what comes out on the stream, because this is jazz and not Memorex. But at the same time, there has been thought put into it. Right? So, for the most part, what I'm seeing right now, I'm really enjoying, in a sense. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm seeing so many black men on social media and celebrities at that being able to speak on what they thought of Carl Weathers and how much of an icon and a legend this character was for them, and his character of Apollo Creed. Not just the character of Apollo Creed, but the man himself. And in my searching for different clips to play on this stream before the show started, so you guys could see that, I found a couple of interviews that I thought were really telling. And it's just him speaking for himself about what he was doing. And the one that really resonated with me was the one I put up on Instagram, on my page on Instagram. And he talks about wanting or being asked, what's good, Malika? Being asked about what he wanted to be, and he said he just wanted to be a working actor. And getting chided, in a sense, look it up, about why just a working actor, why not a superstar or anything like that. And he had a very intelligent and thoughtful answer about that. And just to paraphrase it, his answer was, it was better to be a working actor than a superstar. Because if you're working, you can put food on the table and and everything. And you can get better. You can get better to the point that you become a superstar. But it seemed that the working part was a longer career than just becoming a superstar. Because sometimes the superstars don't have the work ethic. They don't. And they fade away really fast. So it was a really intelligent answer that he gave that I really liked because it shows the depth of the man in the sense of how he thought about things. Now, for most people in this chat right now, nobody was alive, probably except for Malika. Nobody was alive when Carl Weathers was playing football. You wouldn't have remembered him playing for the Oakland Raiders. You probably wouldn't even know what number he had on without Googling it. You wouldn't know that he was coached by John Madden. You wouldn't know that shit. Or that he was let go. Probably wouldn't know that either. But it doesn't really matter in that sense. No, I think it was 49, Malika. $49, and then we got to trade it to, I think it was Lions or the Bills. I think he had 50 something. Toya said she didn't know anything about him to what I played later. What up, BTM? Yeah, well, that's kind of the disheartening part about our Black heroes and legends, right? A lot of us as Black people that didn't grow up with them don't do a lot of research into them to find out who they were before we got abreast of them until they're dead. Now, I say that as not a shot thrown at Black people in general. I just say that it's a sad statement in some senses. Reason I say that is that my first introduction to him, be it that Carl Weathers was playing football in the 1970s, the early 70s, and he stopped playing football in 73, the year I was born. It leaves it that my first experience with Carl Weathers was Rocky, was playing Apollo Creed in Rocky, seeing him in film, and learning that, God damn, this is a really put together Black man. And he is beating the fuck out of Rocky. Now, this is long before I understood what acting was and how an individual pours into this character that they have, that they are set to play. So make no mistake about it, a lot of what Apollo Creed looks like was natural. It was not, he found out he was going to do this movie and then he went out for 6 months to a year with a personal trainer and had to, eat chicken and rice and work out and stuff like that to get him into that shape to look like that in the movie. No, this is long before all of that shit. That's how he looked. And the reason that's how he looked, because even up till he passed this year, he kind of looked that same way. That was who he was as a man, as a Black man. Now, seeing him as Apollo, I remember, I believe we were at home. I believe we were probably watching it on HBO or something like that. Her mother had got cable when it was like new, right? And I remember watching on HBO, and this dude was just the air that came off of the character was one thing, but the passion that came through in that character had a weight to it that you saw in every scene. That calm and composed demeanor, not overly braggadocious, not all of that, but there was a confidence there. There was a strength there. Now that could just be for the time, or it could be what he infused into that character. Now, at this time, the only thing we have it to match up to is other roles that he's played in interviews that he's given. And if you match up Apollo Creed to some of the interviews that Carl Weathers has done over the years, even the most recent ones being hooked up with the Mandalorian, you'll see that that is his character. That is him. That Apollo Creed character is up and down him. That's who he is, or that's who he was. Now, as a young boy, Apollo Creed was one of those iconic characters that as a young man, young black man, I would have wanted to grow up to be. It'd be the reason why I hit my little 20, 25 push-ups every morning that I could. It'd be the reason I would have on the little, not even Joe Weider, but little boxing gloves in the backyard, punching my cousin in the face, having him punch me in the face, working on our boxing and stuff like that. It was the reason why I went to the boxing gym with my foster mother and always loved being there, sitting around the ring, watching the guys in the ring. It sparked my love for boxing. To understand who that person was in that sense to me as an individual means something. And even saying it now, remembering all that stuff, it kind of stirs something in me. And it's a weird thing because this is somebody I've never met in real life at all. But it had that kind of profound influence on who I chose to be in this world, how I chose to represent myself in this world. That's a beautiful thing. It's on it. NFL episode of $6 Million Man, UFO. Appreciate y'all dropping those factoids in the chat. I used to watch the $6 Million Man too. If you listen to Double Toasted, they'll take you back to Starsky and Hutch with him having roles on that because he was acting. He got out of football and he started acting. He was acting in all kind of little small parts and whatnot. But he always had a presence. So I could say from watching the first Rocky movie, Apollo's appearance got me to watch the rest of those movies. He is one of the main reasons that I like those movies. I can definitely say it's one of the main reasons I watch the Creed movies. Because I like to see the continuation of that legacy of that character in what would be his son. That's why I support him. Because it was said not long ago, after the third Creed movie came out, is that the Rocky movies in and of itself are not about Rocky. They're about Apollo. The first four movies are all about Apollo. He is the mainstay in each one of those movies, all the way up until 4, where he is killed in the ring. And it spurs Rocky to train harder to avenge his fallen friend against the person who killed him in the ring. So much so, if you skip over 5 and 6 and that shit, that some of it was kind of garbage, and you get to the Creed movies, it's the reason people are drawn to the Creed movies as well, even in his memory. To me, that's a huge accomplishment. Not only was the character written well, he was portrayed and performed magnificently because the character endures. And because of that, you know who the hell Carl Weathers is. If you are a Gen Xer, you know exactly who the hell he is. And the reason you can tell if you ask somebody who was Carl Weathers, first thing that'll probably come to mind for them is Apollo Creed. That'll tell you what generation they fell from, which generation he crossed their eyes and entered their consciousness. For somebody who seemingly was so nonchalant about their celebrity, you would think he was out there beating his chest the whole time to get that kind of influence on people. But he wasn't. He was just doing his thing. And that's admirable to me. Between Apollo Creed and Predator, who was Al Dillon, there was Action Jackson, where he got to star in his own movie. I believe I'm getting the timeline right on that. But if I'm not, I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me. He got to star in his own action movie. Craig T. Nelson and Vanity Fine Ass. Now, I'm kind of jealous of him for that. And I'm thankful for Action Jackson. Because not only did I get to see Vanity topless, I got to see a modern version of a black leading man in his own movie. And he looked just as cut as he was in the Rocky movies. Now, the movie could be mostly trash. It could be mostly trash because if you believe Craig T. Nelson knows martial arts, then, I'm a monkey's uncle. But at the same time, you get a lot of good lines in it and a lot of stuff like this that I have had on my channel for a long time. Why did I have this on there? Because Action Jackson started giving that motherfucker work. Why? Because he pissed him off. Now you piss me off. And he started giving him them 2 pieces. There was a lot of lines like that that were really cool in that movie, which I enjoyed. That's why I knew that clip before he ever died. That's why I had it. Being able to connect with a leading man in a movie, especially in the 80s, was a big deal. Especially one that looked like everything that you could possibly want to be. Not just a thug, not just some goofy drug dealer or some shit like that in a movie. No, he's the lead, and he kicking foes' ass and got shit to talk. Articulate, poised, controlled, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I think it's from movies like that you get movies like Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes, because we know and we deal with it a lot now in how Hollywood depicts or likes dark skinned brothers. And this was a dark skinned brother getting leading roles and was cut like 2 pounds of pure. Couldn't deny it. Now, when you got up to Predator, that was the first time that you kind of saw him. If you were Gen X, that's the first time you kind of saw him as a bad guy. Why? Because he was a CIA dude. And he called his buddy in to help him do a mission. Now, the saying that most people key on in this is the same where he and Hogan, I mean, not Hogan, excuse me, fucking hell, might as well be. He and Schwarzenegger locked arms and had those big, sweaty, ripped, muscly biceps. Yeah, that was a cool scene. It was. Why? Why was it a cool scene? It was cool to me because you saw that as strong and powerful as Arnold Schwarzenegger had been in his movies. I mean, you're talking about freaking Conan the Barbarian. Okay? Had been a weightlifter, power lifter. This cut man at that time, I didn't know anything about him playing for the Raiders. But athlete, ex-athlete, was locked right up with him. And it was just as strong. Now you could say they weren't really, arm wrestling. They was just holding hands and flexing really hard. But think of it in another way. At this time, close to 90, late 80s, Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of the biggest action stars in the world. Right? That's the reason why that movie Predator is such a fan favorite, because he was able to pull a bunch of people that he respected into a movie. Because not only do you have other people who have made their fame before acting and been reasonably accepted as tough and strong men, masculine men at that. You got Jesse the Body Ventura, ex-Navy SEAL, ex-pro wrestler, and actor. You got Bill Duke, ex-athlete, NFL player, activist, right? You got Carl Weathers, ex-athlete, actor. It's a lot of people in this movie that were actually masculine men. And of the two, the black man was still there standing toe to toe with your white boy who could have been the master of the universe. He was right there. Now, while the muscular scene is all nice, that's not the scene that really got me. Right? The scene that really got me, there was a couple of them. There was two. The first one was when Schwarzenegger's character Dutch actually realized that Dylan had kind of not given him the full information. And he challenged him on that shit. And Dylan gave him the what for and told him what the fuck was up. Because as a CIA officer, you don't tell everybody the whole truth. You don't. That's not your job. You use assets. And Dutch's team, friend or not, was an asset. And he tells him, yes, I called you in here. My men got killed. And my job was to get somebody in here to crack these bastards. Now, Dutch challenged him on why he would do that to them and asked him what happened to him. And he told him. And what I remember about that scene the most is the look in Carl Weathers' eyes. Really stern. And he told him, I grew up. Now, for me, it is pivotal in that scene because this is his friend he's talking to. He does respect Dutch, but he also does his job. Now, while you can see him as the villain or a villain in it, he's not. He does care about those people on that team. And it's proven later when he goes after Mac, Bill Duke's character, one that didn't like him. And he goes to try to avenge Mac. And is subsequently taken out by the Predator. Now, another point to remember that at this time, during this movie, at this point in time, Carl Weathers has acted with two of the biggest action stars of the generation. Arnold Schwarzenegger being one, Sylvester Stallone being two. And actually held his own with both characters that he played to where those characters are iconic right next to them. Carl Weathers is the only one that I think was missing from the Expendable franchise. They never got Carl Weathers in that shit. Yeah, they got Wesley, but they was kind of missing something to me when they didn't have Carl in there. Just saying. If you're going to bring up the who's who of action stars from the 80s and 90s, you got Stallone there. You got Schwarzenegger there. You even got Bruce Willis there. You ain't about that action? You ain't about that action, Jackson? Fuck it up. Y'all need to get on that. Split my zipper. Fat fuck. Now, in between Predator and The Mandalorian, I didn't watch Happy Gilmore. And I've heard Happy Gilmore is funny and all the rest of that shit. Yeah, whatever the fuck. I wasn't that into Adam Sandler. I had seen him in some other movies before he got Happy Gilmore, and I wasn't that interested. I didn't watch Saturday Night Live. So I was not spoon-fed who was supposed to be funny. I judged who was funny from Saturday Night Live about who broke out and whose stand-up comedy I could actually watch. So I never saw him in Happy Gilmore because I never watched Happy Gilmore. And I really don't feel the need to go back and watch it, even because he's in it. I don't. So my next time seeing him after Predator in something was The Mandalorian. And I enjoyed seeing him. It was like getting acquainted again with an old friend. who you hadn't seen in a while. Like, man, how you doing? How you been? Damn, you still fucking big and cut. That's what's up. Hey, Gray make you look distinguished, homeboy. That's good. Hey, you got to get this Disney check? Oh yeah, they can get paid off of this. In that same sense, seeing him play Grief Karga, I got that same strength of character that I got from Dylan, that I got from Creed, in Grief, in the Mandalorian show. Same sense of character out of him. He was funny. He was serious. He was about business. But you liked the character. Could be kind of ambiguous. Is he on the level? Maybe he's not. Maybe he is. But you liked the character. And the character hung around. For 3 seasons, they kept him in there. Now, the thing to understand from this is that the reason he got cast for this role is because of Jon Favreau. Because Jon Favreau had respect for him. From Predator. From Creed. From Rocky. That's why. And if you don't think so, tell me this. If Jon Favreau wrote the role of Cara Dune with Gina Carano in mind, who do you think the Grief Karga character was written for? It's not that far of a stretch to do that. Because Jon Favreau had a respect for Gina Carano as a fighter, which is why he cast her in that role. Carl Weathers has been an athlete, but he was never a boxer. But you couldn't tell that in the Rocky movie. Looked as good as Sugar Ray Leonard out there. So to me, it was a good thing that he was there because he was still a working actor. And he had been working in that intern when I didn't see him. He was still working then. Yeah, it was on shows that I didn't watch, but he was still working then, turning out good characters. Still. Yeah, John is a big geek. John is a film geek. He is a comic geek. And he is a fight geek. As I told you guys, geeking is what you geek out on. There's nerdy shit and there's geek shit. John is a geek. That's why he wrote that show. That's why he felt so strongly after seeing a bad movie that he went to him and said, look, I want to do this. I can fix this. He felt that goddamn strongly about it. Everybody else just bitched. That motherfucker actually put his nuts on the line and said, I want to direct this. I'll make this show. Because we need to fix this. I can't stand. I can respect that. Now, through the Mandalorian show and Carl Weathers playing that role of Grief Karga, he actually got to direct some episodes. By season 2, the episodes that you see him in are the episodes he directed. And I really liked his directing style because there was action there. It was fast paced. There were jokes and all of that in there. And it showed that there's something to be said for actors that turn into directors. They understand this process. They have been seasoned through this process in acting for decades. So when they jump behind the camera, it's a little different, but they understand how to communicate with actors to get that performance that they want out of it. And he acted a lot with Gina Carano. Understandably, they have a really good relationship because that's who he is as a person. When all that BS at Lucasfilms was going down with Gina Carano and whatnot, who was one of the people that was standing by her and sticking up for her? Carl Weathers. Supported her right to say whatever the hell she wanted to. So it was very interesting and touching to see her tribute to him on her Instagram because it meant something to her. He meant something to her. No, he wasn't a mega superstar, none of that other shit. He was an actor, but he was also a man. And from that, you see the outpouring of respect for him and who he was. Now, going over his filmography, in a sense, with you guys, is just a way for me to express how long I have been watching this man perform his craft and how many times I've enjoyed his presence on the screen. Now, it's not to be said that this is not the same for a lot of our brothers and our black role models that have passed in recent years. But one of the things that's changed in this time, in this last like 3 or 4 years of seeing these passings, is understanding for me that one, I have gotten older, and two, we are losing or have lost a lot of our legends. And the sad part about that is I don't think we'll see their like again. I don't. I had the conversation the other day with my problematic coworker. Yeah, we don't agree on a lot, but I'm able to talk to anybody. And we were talking about Carl Weathers passing, and he was saying that there won't be anybody else like him. And I said, no, there won't. And the reason being is the conditions do not exist anymore to produce somebody like him. This is not the environment anymore. I used the example of Tupac when we were talking and having that conversation. And I told him I remembered how when Tupac passed, as tragic and sudden as it was, everybody was looking for the next Tupac. And I said it when he passed. There will never be another Tupac. Never. And I was able to tell and give the reason why. And it was the same reason I said there'll never be another Carl Weathers. The conditions don't exist to get another one like that. You don't have Black Panthers running around anymore. Black people really being involved with each other and really trying to, do better against everybody else. You don't have those conditions anymore where you would raise young, fire in the belly preachers that want to talk to black people and see their race uplift. The correct version of woke, to be awake and awaken to the truth. You don't have those conditions anymore. You don't. Same way you don't have the same conditions that may have existed in the 60s, 50s, 60s to get a Carl Weathers born to his parents going into football and leaving football to get into acting. Not thinking, oh, he about to get the bag, but he about to be the biggest goddamn movie star in the world. Just wanting to be there doing it and staying consistent at that. You don't have people like that anymore. Not a one. I would really be pressed to think of my leading black male action star right now. I would. I'd really be pressed to think about that. Because as much as everybody wanted to shit on Denzel for Equalizer 3, saying, oh, he old. Who else you got? No? Probably should shut the fuck up then. Yeah, Herb. I've never seen him compromise his morals, like wearing a dress or acting like a woman either. Me either. And that's the other reason I say, at least in Hollywood, to get on the screen in Hollywood, they'll never make him like that again. That was a legit masculine black male. No effeminization, no sensitivity training, no PC language, but he knew how to carry himself. Athletic and intelligent, not one or the other. So, similar to how I felt when Jim Brown passed, it's a loss. And if you think of black males as a pool of consciousness, we have lost another light that cannot be replaced. And to me, that's what it means to be original. This world will tell you that everything can be replaced. Nothing is original. Nothing new exists under the sun. And that you should just be used to the mediocrity and accept the fact that there are pretenders everywhere. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. If that's the case, then how do you get somebody like a Carl Weathers? How? Somebody who's motivated more people to do better in their lives from playing a character on screen than a lot of motivational speakers you can listen to. I saw a video before coming on here of somebody catching Mike Tyson in the airport and asking him about how he felt about Carl Weathers passing. Now, arguably, Mike Tyson is one of the most iconic boxers in history. I would say only second to Muhammad Ali, because I didn't grow up in the Muhammad Ali era, but I did grow up in the Iron Mike Tyson era. That motherfucker is iconic. Even with all the other boxers I know of and have watched fight, Mike Tyson is that dude. So for some goofball to walk up on him in the airport and ask how he felt about Carl Weathers passing, I thought that was a stupid ass question. But it was an insightful question for what Mike said. And what he said was, of course, he had just heard about it himself. And it's a sad loss. And he echoed the same words I said when I found out. He was a legend and he was iconic. And of course, he was an inspiration for him getting into boxing. Imagine that. One real life boxer inspired to box by a fictional character. Goes to show that performance must have meant something. Because no disrespect to Sylvester Stallone, because I give him props for writing these movies, but I've never heard about white boys being inspired to box because they watched a Rocky movie. Just the same way I've never heard somebody say they want to take karate because they watched fucking Daniel LaRusso get his ass kicked all over the Karate Kid screen. Just is what it is. As black men specifically, we need those icons. And for me specifically, in my opinion, we need those icons replaced. We need to figure out how to make more of them. We don't need less of them. We need more of them. And I'm facing the reality of looking and seeing that all of those are going to go by the wayside. All of them. That at the age I am now, I'm going to see all of my heroes die. All of them. If I don't go before them, they're going to go before me. And I'm going to remember how disappointing the world is with their passing. How much is lost when they pass. Reason being is because it takes people until you pass to actually think about your fucking accomplishments and give you props for those. That's kind of fucked up to me. I'm guilty of it too. And knowing that means I know in myself is something I need to get better at. Of understanding, yeah, you're supposed to like this person. Yeah, this is a black person that did some solid work. But what is their history? What is their story? Look deeper than the fucking surface. Or what can be readily found in a 2-second Google search. Understand who they are as people, because it was a person. I don't even know if he has children. I don't. I would guess maybe he has some kids in all this time. But I don't know. I wonder the same way it was when Kevin passed. I wonder about the children that they leave behind. What is said to them? How does it affect them to see this outpouring of support for their father after they're gone? And you probably weren't seeing it while they were here. Can you really believe it? Can you really put a lot of stock in it? What is it going to mean to your daily life a month from now, 2 months from now? When all the tears have run dry and all the news has switched to the next tragedy, carrot on a stick, flashing lights, ambulance to chase. What does it do for you then? I will miss that brother's performance because it means a lot to me to have that icon in my head, that archetype of what a black man can be and look like. That understanding what friendship is and devotion to that. And what it means to just be an upstanding dude in general. I can say I have not heard Michael B. Jordan's response to Carl Weathers' passing, but I would be really interested in seeing it because I saw Stallone's. And one of the things I can appreciate about Sylvester Stallone and respect about him is that when he did his response to finding out about Carl Weathers passing, it was at his house in front of his bar with that big picture of Rocky and Apollo Creed swinging on each other at the end of Rocky 2. That private solo fight that they had. And he had the painting of it above his bar. Because that was his friend. It wasn't just somebody he acted in a movie with this one time. That was his friend. And he was markedly hurt. Thank you, Ray. Thanks for that. Jason and Matthew. Yeah, two boys. That's going to be some weight to carry. So went ahead and sent my prayer off to those two boys. I know they're grown men probably by now, but I sent my prayers off to them for strength and guidance. Because think about it this way for them. I don't know Carl Weathers personally. I know him through movies and interviews. None of us in here know him personally. But if you understand the effect he has on us from just through a screen or on film, think about what his presence was with his sons raising them. Got to be something special, irreplaceable, original. Got to be. You got married 3 times. So did my grandmother. Different generation. Nowadays, niggas don't even want to get married or have children. In which case, I won't go attacking people. So, for me, he will be missed. And I have to hold on to what I remember of him. And I will think about it every time I work out and look in the mirror. And it's weird. It's weird because it matters that much to me. That's what I find weird about it. For someone I don't know personally. Anyway, I'm at work, obviously, so I can't pour a toast to him. But if you got a drink, pour a little out, put a glass up, and give a RIP to Carl Weathers. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your gifts. And thank you to being a positive influence and image that a young boy in the 80s could look to. I appreciate your work. I really do. Meant a lot to me. And I need a composure break for half a second, you guys. So, give me a second to get this together. Thanks. So, thank you guys for sticking with me. Um, Apparently, some people saw what they needed to and already left. And I'll be mad about that later on. It is funny to me how a lot of black men's good work goes unnoticed, unrewarded, and unappreciated. And that it takes a shuffling loose of this mortal coil to actually get the crocodile tears and the admiration that we were due when we were alive. I hate that it is that way, or I should say, I dislike that it's that way because to me it seems inefficient and fake. That it takes somebody passing for the respect to come out. I'd vowed in my life after the passing of my boy Ron that I would never do that. I would always let people know how I felt right then when I was feeling it. So if I was not here to see the tomorrow, they would have no reason to question what I felt about them. Now, it is a personal code of mine to do that. I don't waste a lot of words. I don't get involved in a lot of pointless conversations. But when I say something, it usually carries some weight because most people know that. I don't waste words. And if I said it, I meant that shit. It might just be my age working on me now, but seeing losses like this really makes it. It is a perspective shift in a sense of understanding what it means to me and where I am along this lifeline. I had an interesting time yesterday, and this will be a little bit of personal stuff, not necessarily geek stuff, but there's more geek stuff to get to. And I'll share this with you because I was thinking about just shutting down the stream after that last segment. But while I do like to leave you guys with something on your mind to think about, I don't want to leave you in that sense. So, appreciation. Yesterday was interesting because yesterday I went to my cousin's 40th birthday party. Now, this is my uncle's, my oldest uncle's daughter, my first cousin. And heading to get her a card and looking for what I was going to write in the card, thinking about what to write in the card because I'm one of these people who hand writes cards. I just do. It's just what I do. When thinking about what to write to her, caught a flood of memories that all came back to me really quickly when thinking about my cousin. And this cousin is black and Japanese. My uncle is black, obviously. Her mother is Japanese. And she's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. But she has done a lot in her life. All right. Owns her own small business right now. Does her job, owns her house, raising her two sons. Recently kind of split with her man, so there's not two of them in the house, but that's their personal shit, right? Relationships don't work. Go figure. Who didn't know that shit, right? But when I was sitting in my car writing right in her birthday card, there was a flood of memories that just came like a timeline. From the first time seeing her until the last time seeing her before I went to this party. And I remembered her being probably like 5 or 6. And I remember going to my uncle's house. They stayed in an apartment at this time. And this was when her mother and my uncle, her mother had just came over here to the States. And they went from staying in my grandmother's house, my nana's house, to having their own place, which was an apartment. And it was her and her younger brother, also my cousin, obviously. And we had gone to the park down the street from their house, me and my younger brother and her. And I can remember this big head little girl with a lot of hair on her head running and having a good time, just running through the park with my brother and having fun. I remember thinking there, because I'm the oldest, being there watching them and like they're just having fun. But looking back from that time, like a Dr. Manhattan, and remembering this moment and revisiting it in my mind, it made me smile to think of how long I've seen this person and how much they've grown before my eyes. From a little kid that I have to watch over, and make sure they okay or entertain at a family function, to this grown ass woman drinking wine and champagne and out at the winery where she had her party, playing music, having a good time, and dancing. And really had to put it in context to all the memories I had along that timeline. Playing at the park when she was little, her arm getting dislocated at one time because she was acting up and dropping down on the ground, and my auntie picked her ass up because you ain't gonna be doing that shit in front of company, and got her arm dislocated. Had to go to the hospital, get that shit reset. To remember her being a teenager and being at her high school graduation and thinking about where her life was going to take her from there. To being the person that got most people in my job hooked on the cookies that she makes right now as her own business. My cousin has done a lot. And we we have a good relationship. And I'm really impressed with the person that she's grown up to be. I was more impressed about seeing the friends that she has around her. She has a good group of people around her to support her, look out for her, that have been there like family for her for decades. And she call and they show the hell up. And I can respect that. I really can. To me, it is a testament to who she is as a person. Because, mind you, if you looked on a map right now of California, the Bay Area, and you look for a town called Suisun, Suisun, right? If you looked on a map and looked for that, and then you looked to how far East Oakland is, my cousin travels that distance to check on my nana, to check on our nana. She drives that distance regularly. Her mother, my auntie, Sir Charles, checks on my nana regularly. I appreciate them for who they are as people because they care about me. And it's not just care in the sense of saying words, it cares in the sense of showing action. You can actually see their care and support for people because they do it. And I appreciate that about my cousin. But being there, being there with her at her party last night and being happy for her to have all those people there partying, having a good time, like grown folks, not being hella ratchet, just like grown folks, made me actually really think about again how old I actually was. Because all of my younger cousins are in their 30s now. She's the first one to hit 40. And even my youngest cousin on this time is 34 years old. So it made me think about my position in that family line, especially with my nana being there and me and her, having some conversations there while we sipping on good wine. I was having a tasty butter Chardonnay that my uncle was having because he was there too. But talking to my grandmother about the family and taking pictures, and her reminding me of the generational picture we took while her father was still alive, that we got to see 5 generations of our family all alive at the same time. And it was special because her saying that reminded me of how old my nana actually is right now. She is the oldest of her line, her generation. technically, right now, there is still 5 generations alive because I have a granddaughter. That means undoubtedly the next one out is my nana. And while the Carl Weathers stuff was in my mind as well, my cousin's in my mind because it's her birthday and thinking about how old she is. My grandmother's in my mind as well, thinking about how old she is. And what will be the outpouring for her, who will sing her praises or write her jeers after she's passed. What's up, Corey? But something happened at this party I thought was really interesting. And this goes into the whole thing about Carl passing, the point that I made. When I came in to that party and saw my nana, my uncle, my cousin, my auntie there, my nana said something to me that, one second, an emergency call. I do so love non-emergency calls for stuff that people are resolving. Why even call the fucking phone number? If somebody is raking the leaves out of an overfilling drain, why the fuck did you call? Because now I have to go out and take pictures of an empty drain. This is my life. Anyway, I have to go respond to this because it's now technically an emergency since they actually called. So before I do that, shout out to Underdog Glory. And this message said, "Thank you for this salute. Appreciate your Underdog Glory for supporting the stream." Glad somebody did. I will give you the guts and butts. Appreciate your Underdog Glory.
Double up, 3 or 4 times. I ain't telling no lie. Never let a hard time on the
So, just to finish this thought out about care, appreciation, and support. When I saw my Nana, she was happy to see me. And she was talking to my uncle. And what she told my uncle was something that I really took to heart and appreciated her saying. Because nobody else has said that. Well, I should clarify that. Nobody else in my family has said that to me. And what it was is that my Nana was talking to my uncle and then talking to me and asking me about seeing my son's house and how that was a big accomplishment. She was very happy for him buying his first house. And I told her, yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's done really well. And absently, she started talking to my uncle, saying that that's good. You know, he got a college graduate and a homeowner. And said, and he got 2. He raised 2 college graduates. And I'm like, yeah, I did. So not just him, his mother, but he raised 2 college graduates. Yes, I did. Now, I know in these spaces, a lot of time, college education and shit like that gets shit on or passed aside or whatever, or overemphasized more than actually having real world street smarts and shit like that. But look, in my view, you need them both. If you are Black and have lived in any kind of situation, you have a little bit of street smarts. But to survive in the rest of the world outside of the streets, you need a little bit more of something else. You need to find those other keys to get into those other doors that are locked behind education and the ability to work within or through systems. That's what your college degree is. Is it a key to some other doors? Just like military service. And I'm sure Charles can tell you all about this and many other brothers in this space who are ex-military. Grinch is another one. Military service is a key to some other doors that you can get through. Now, in the Bruce Lee tradition with life, whatever helps you in life to get the most out of it for yourself and help you be productive and have your dreams made into reality so you don't have to struggle, then that's of benefit to you. If that's a college degree, then it's a college fucking degree. If it's learning how to code, then it's learning how to code. If it's learning how to do HVAC or all the rest of this shit, or just learning how to hustle on the streets, whatever the fuck it is that you learn how to do that will help you change your situation from shitty to good, it's beneficial. That's why I don't shit on none of it. None of it. Now, because of the education that I have gotten, and the skills that I have acquired, I'm doing the job that I'm doing. And still only using probably 1/10 of those skills. That doesn't always get praise. It doesn't always get respected. It doesn't always get valued in the way it should. But listening to my grandmother give me credit for raising my children, not their mothers, but me specifically as a black man, meant something to me. Because it is not a acknowledgement I have gotten from my mother. That meant something to me. Because admittedly, my mother, boomer generation, as it were, could only produce 1 out of 2. My grandmother, for what it's worth, out of 3 kids, could only produce 1. My uncle, out of 3, could only produce 1. But me and my generation, out of 2, produced 2. Now, I don't say that to beat on my chest because I'm a pretty humble person. But acknowledgement of your efforts and your hard work is valuable, especially to black men. Because there is not a day that goes by that there is not a line of people to try to tell you everything that you have failed at or you are not. There is no list of people who want to acknowledge your shortcomings and look for them and will actively work to make sure you have more of them. There's not a lot of people who actively applaud your successes while you're fucking alive to hear it. So I appreciated that from my nana. It meant a lot to me. So, with that, I'm going to get out of here and go take care of this work order. Put my clothes in the dryer. And think about some other things that makes my mind ponder greater things than celebrities and where people put their dicks. Thank you guys for coming back on this late one and spending some time with me to share with you guys my thoughts on Carl Weathers passing. I don't have time to go into this WWE shit and Marvel shit. Who gives a fuck about that right now? White folks and their problems. I'll pick it up another day. It'll be there. But I wanted to speak my piece on this for you guys. Thank you to everybody who supported the stream. Aquatechy, No One, and Underdog Glory. I appreciate your support. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of there. Like, share, subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.